folks. Welcome to the Creator's Journey with the Halfling and the Spaceman. We love talking to creators about their journeys, all creators, all sorts of journeys. And we are excited to have another creative couple with us. It's been a while. We are happy to introduce Ben and Karen Gibson. And together they form the writing team of BK Gibson. Uh, now, Ben has had several tabletop RPGs published, modules and such, or actual games through Cool Press.
Coldlight Press. Yep.
Okay, all right, and he's been doing that for quite a while, over a decade, I guess.
Right about it. Yeah.
But yeah, but like I said, together they form BK Gibson. We want to welcome both of them to the show. Hey guys,
Hey,
Hey, how's it going?
it's good. It's good. Thank you guys for taking the time to join us today.
thank you for inviting us.
And I say it has been a while since we have had a creative couple on the show. It's always fun to have a creative couple because they start talking to and and then little things start to come out. So it's fun. It's interesting. Um, but again, thank you for taking the time to be here with us and chat with us as one creative couple to another. So let's go ahead and get the ball rolling here. And this first one is for both of you, because before you got together, you had separate lives. So tell us each, and I don't. You can fight over who goes first. Each a little bit about your background, your formative years, and then I kind of would like you to talk about some of your favorite things as you grew up. Like, what were you into?
Hold on, Halfling. Is this the point where I start chanting two creators enter, one creator leaves?
No,
Okay.
no, please don't do that. Please don't do that. Like I said, I'll let you fight over who wants to go first.
You can go.
Okay, yeah. So I have always loved reading. I've always had a very vivid imagination since I was a little kid. I've had different worlds that I lived in and different people that I met. I think that probably some of the books that influenced me the most were the classics. So I didn't read as much genre fiction. I read Lord of the Rings and the Chronicles of Narnia growing up. I loved those, The Hobbit. But I also read things like Jane Eyre, Little Women, Sherlock Holmes, Anna Green Gables, like a lot of the fun classics that you read as a kid. And I would say those were really formative for me.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. And Ben, what about you?
Yeah. So it's interesting. We talked about this before, how we kind of swapped. I started with science fiction, a lot of genre fiction, and science fiction was my first love. I got started. Oh goodness. It's hard to say. The Heinlein juveniles. I
Mhm.
loved anything that Arthur C. Clarke, Asimov. Then Timothy Zahn was a huge revelation to me. I think I devoured everything he ever wrote. And it wasn't until I was about 10 or 11, and then I finally gave The Hobbit a chance. And after reading The Hobbit, I immediately went into The Lord of the Rings. And then I devoured The Silmarillion. And then I devoured all of the unfinished tales that were out at the time. And then I said, oh, wait, I wonder if there's other people that actually write fantasy. And so that's kind of where it came from for the influence after that.
Uh, what a novel concept.
I know. Who would have thought?
All right. As a follow-up question, somebody just said, what's your favorite Heinlein juvenile?
Oh, goodness. So I'm trying to think. There's probably what is the name of it? The Farmers in the Sky one. It's been so long. All the names jumble together at the same time because I just read them all. I just would inhale them all over and over and over again. Um, it,
Yeah.
it was the one that was mostly focused on farming in Jupiter, in the orbit of Jupiter, and that for me, for some reason, that one just stuck out the most. But I just read them again and again and again when I was a kid. How about you?
Yeah. we went through the Heinlein Juveniles, all of them on audiobook over the pandemic.
Mhm.
And ours, I think, well, I can't speak for the halfling, but mine was Have Spacesuit Will Travel.
I think so too. It was just it was such a fun story, and to his credit, Spaceman's credit, he came up with an idea for a sequel to that.
I'm
Tell
no
him,
Robert Heinlein.
tell him what it was.
Yes, the protagonist of Spacesuit Will Travel were Kip and Pee Wee. Kip was the male character, Pee Wee's was the girl. I said, what if they had a daughter and we did a book called Have Spaceship Will Travel as a follow-on? But I'm no Robert Heinlein. I'm not even much of a spaceman.
I thought it was a great idea. I would love to read a book about their daughter.
Well,
Uh,
Halfling, if I had as much time as I have ideas.
oh, I know. I know.
All right. Well, back onto the interview. Let's talk about where did you guys first meet? That sounds like an interesting tale in and of itself.
Well, we were both graduates of the University of Alabama in Huntsville, which is a science and tech school. I was in grad school and Karen was in undergrad. We met each other through actually through a church program through there. Karen's degree is in chemistry, mine's in physics, so we were nerdy about the same kind of things.
Yeah.
We've nerded out a lot for a long time.
Yeah.
But that's how we met, and it's interesting. We had a ton of mutual friends, but we'd never met each other until that time.
Oh yeah, yeah. We had a lot of circles that we were both in, but for some reason we just didn't know each other. But it was really cool when we did meet.
Probably for the best. I don't know if you would have liked younger me.
And how long have you guys been married?
We're going to be celebrating 16 years this year. So here in 2026.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Congratulations. They're making me feel old.
Darling, the calendar makes us feel
I know. Well, Karen, this question is specifically for you. I'm going to put you on the spot for just a second here. And actually, you sort of touched on this a minute ago, but my question originally was, did you enjoy the nerdy and geeky things when you were growing up, or when you guys got together, did he draw you into that, or was it vice versa?
Yeah, well, again, like I always enjoyed Lord of the Rings, Chronicles of Narnia, and then when I was in high school, I did a lot of sci-fi media. So I did like Halo with my younger brother. We played through that. I had a great time. Firefly, I watched that, and Stargate SG-1 was another favorite. So I already had some. Yes, exactly.
Exactly.
Yeah, I had some exposure to that before I met Ben, but I would say after I met Ben is when we really picked up on the genre fiction and sci-fi fiction. I had not read any books by science fiction authors, and so he introduced me to Timothy Zahn, and I was like, I am so sold on this. This is great. And I remember when we were first together, I think the first thing we went through was Avatar: The Last Airbender, and we devoured that. And that was kind of like the first nerdy thing we did together.
Mm-hmm. Although, kind of related to what we wrote here, when we were dating, one of our mutual favorite books was C.S. Lewis's "Till We Have Faces."
Mm.
We talked that one together. It's not as common as the Narnia or even the Space Trilogy, but it's a beautiful book set in historical Greece, sort of ancient Greece. It's the story of Psyche just retold, and we talked about that very early on.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Oh, that's nice. I like that. All right. Well, Spaceman, I believe you're in the next question.
And the camera pans to the spaceman. All right. According to the halfling, this is one for each of you to answer between yourselves. How does your creative process work? Give us an idea of how your process as a team goes from creation through development to implementation. And since you guys do collaboration, do you guys ever, have a little fisticuffs in the process?
Let's see. Well, it's kind of fun because a lot of times, not a ton of times, but a lot of times in the development of our stories, it starts with a dream that I've had, right? So I'll dream a particular setting or a particular scenario, and then, or even like an image. And then hey, Ben, I had this cool idea. Let's see what we can do. And that's actually what happened for the book that we were just releasing. I had a dream about the magic system. And then I told Ben about it, and he was like, "Oh, I think I know exactly where this needs to be set." And that was really cool. So that's not the only way we come up with stories. Obviously, like sometimes I'll just be thinking of things, or he'll be thinking of things, and the big "what if" question comes up, right? And so we start there, and then how would you say we?
Well, it becomes so. I often take. You could say, if you were putting it in RPG terms, it's like Karen has rolled on a random table and given me a result, and then I'm trying to figure out. I put on my GM hat and say, okay, so how does this work in a world? If that makes sense to you. Karen also plays RPGs, but she doesn't run. But I'll say, okay, so here's my quick idea for how it works, and we'll kind of work on the story back and forth. And I will usually come up with the first crack at a general story, but it has a lot of holes in it, and those holes are usually we'll just sit down together, and Karen will just be poking at all the holes. We'll have a back and forth where she'll just ask me question after question after question of stuff I hadn't considered, stuff that she, really good objections. She'll be basically poking through all the weak points, which it's a lot of fun. It's a lot of good back and forth. I really enjoy that.
Our G chat is extremely full. So yeah, we are on Google Chat all the time, and we go back and forth, and throughout the day say, "Hey, I'm working on this right now. What do you think?"
Yeah, we'll bounce it back and forth like that. It's a lot of fun. I don't think we have any. We have a lot of the same influences, so we don't have any huge fundamental differences. Although there is a happy medium between no dialogue tags, if we're going to talk about a craft thing, and all dialogue tags.
Yeah.
I am Mr. No dialogue tags, and Karen is Miss all dialogue tags.
Somehow you manage to work around it where you use no dialogue tags, and it drives me crazy.
Yes, so that is the one thing we compromise. It's so funny because our voices are very similar in a lot of ways, but we edit each other's stuff all the time. I trust Karen to anything that she wrote initially, I will be editing. Anything that I wrote initially, she'll be editing. And the rule is we have 100%, you get to edit everything I do. Everything I put out, Karen gets to edit. She has full editorial control over all of it.
Yeah. And as far as like the percentage of who writes what, it does vary on book to book. So I would say with fantasy, lately I have been doing the bulk of the writing, although I would say you've been doing about 25% to 30%. And then he's doing heavy edits on the parts that I write. We've recently written a sci-fi short story. It's been released through Rack Press. And that one was pretty much perfectly 50-50. And I really love the blend that we did there. I felt like we found a fun voice. And so it just depends on the book that we're reading, or the book that we're creating, is how much one of us makes versus the other.
Right. And it's always been easy. I trust Karen as a reader and as a writer 100%. So I like what she writes. So I would like for her to edit and change what I write and what I put out there. And I think you feel the same way.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
So and just to kind of go back to the point, it really sort of is a matter of trust between the two of you. Ben, you said specifically you trust her, and I'm assuming it goes both ways.
Yeah.
And that I think that's probably very important when it comes to collaborating. You have to trust each other's instincts and trust each other's intuition and way to fix things, so to speak. And to that point, it kind of goes into another question, which I had, because Spaceman and I, we collaborate, of course, on the podcast, but we've done a lot of collaborating over the years. We've been married almost 39 years, so
Congratulations.
Thank you. So over the years, we have collaborated on many creative projects.
Many.
Yes, many. many, too many that some of us should have. But we have had some times where there's been a little bit of disagreement, but most of the time it's he trusts me to do certain things. I trust him to do certain things, and and we work pretty well together. So for that, for that, I guess my follow up question,
She's going
I'll
to get
get
to the
to it in a
question in a
minute.
minute. Yeah.
I'll get to it in a minute. What is the easiest and also what's the hardest thing about collaborating?
It's a good question.
Yeah, that's definitely a good one to think about. Well, the easiest is I last year I we for a novel we were working on there. I did the entire first draft myself. Um, Writing a novel sucks by yourself, man. I wouldn't want to do that. It's really there's all kinds of lag points. There's all kinds of points where you have strengths as writer and weaknesses as writer. It is way easier when you have somebody to collaborate with, and at least for me, it just motivates too to have somebody to show what I wrote for. So this is coming from the extrovert half of the two of us. For me, part of the joy of any of this is storytelling. I want to tell a story. I want to share it. And I'm excited, before anybody else, I'm excited to show whatever I've written or whatever I've created with Karen. That was kind of the excitement and motivation. That was kind of the biggest part. What about for you?
Let's see, the easiest. I think it's just so fun to have something to share together. Especially as a married couple with kids, you're always being pulled one direction or another, but to be able to come together at the end of the day and say like, hey, I have this idea, and to be able to share in that creative process is easy, and it's super fun. I would say that just flows super easily for us.
Mm-hmm.
As far as the hardest, I'm still coming up with something to say there. What do you think?
Well,
I mean, writing is not an easy thing in general.
Yeah.
I mean, so I don't feel like that's collaboration.
Yeah.
I mean, there's just the most difficult thing isn't really with Karen, but you always have to work out a scene. You always have to think through how are we going to show this? What's the point of view going to be? The basic craft stuff is hard.
Yes, I would say coming to get up with the outline together can be difficult. Trying to fill it out. We're both outliners. We like to have a plan when we're going forward, and so sometimes there'll be just big holes, and I'll be like, I don't know what to fill this with, and you won't necessarily have any ideas, and so we do kind of get stuck sometimes on the craft of it.
Yeah. You surprised me with answering this because I thought at least one of you would say time management, given the fact that you do have kids.
Yes, little ones always make time management interesting. Yes.
They do. Yeah, we just kind of work it in when we can, and I'm homeschooling 2 of our kids, so I have them on a schedule, and they do their school at a certain time, and they know that I write at a certain time, and they can come to me when they need to. It's like I don't get messed up if people interrupt me. I can just go right back into the flow.
And I've gotten a lot faster about lunch break writing.
Yeah.
When I'm at work, and I'll do it in the morning before taking the youngest to school. It's time management. It's just we're obviously not Rick Partlow out here. We're not generating 8 books a year. The other part of time management. I mean, we wrote 4 novels last year, and that seems to be about the max of what we can reasonably produce where our life is right now.
Well, we're talking about scheduling now. It's the perfect time for the next kind of question, or actually, it's a prompt. So we hear that there is a new B.K. Gibson book coming up, releasing on May 19th. How about y'all give us the elevator pitch for us so our listeners can know a little bit about it and see if they want to pick it up?
Yeah, absolutely. So Freedom's Vow is our epic fantasy novel. It's set in a Hellenistic world of myth and adventure. We were a little tired of hard magic books that never set foot outside of a city. So in Freedom's Vow, it's a young magically gifted slave girl, and an old soldier embark on a quest for freedom by journeying through a classical Greek-inspired world of mystery and danger, trying to stop a war between their two cities orchestrated by darker forces from outside their world. It's written for anybody who loves fantasy, adventure, and excitement of spear on shield. So that's kind of the quick overview.
Sort of a sword and sandals book.
There are both sandals and swords. It is very much. It's very much in the mode. We love classic fantasy. We love the. I mean, I think we both have a real fondness for the old like Dragonlance, for Mudset, for we love the Feist, Raymond
Oh
Feist,
yeah.
that sort of thing,
Yeah.
where it's just classic fantasy, but it's set rather than set in kind of a medieval world. It is set in a Greek-inspired world,
Which we really like because it's a world that's familiar. Like we have mythical creatures that people know about. It's not just monsters that we're making up, but it's also new. And it was really exciting to write it because of that. I had a lot of fun exploring the different creatures and the different settings that we had. It was really fun.
Yeah, getting into the mindset of Greece too. It's not. It's. I mean, I guess Amazon, in their infinite wisdom, might choose to call it historical fantasy. It's not historical fantasy. It's not set in our world, but
Right.
it is. It is also. It's very much inspired by the mindset and the peoples and the places of Greece, because there's just. It's just. I mean, there's all kinds of good reasons, but a big part of it is it's also really cool.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a lot of fun.
Sounds fun. Sounds fun. Does it inspire you to maybe take a trip to Greece at some point?
I don't
Yeah.
know.
That'd be a long journey, but yeah.
It's hard to contemplate doing that right now.
Yes.
Well, I'm sure. Maybe,
Yeah.
maybe when you're a little bit older and the
Yeah.
kids, yeah, I get it. I get it.
Yep.
If I'm just saying, if it were me and I have been writing this, I'd be thinking, I need to go to Greece.
Yeah.
I need to see some of these places, and even though it's inspired by,
Mhm.
still it gives you that gives you that sense. So, but anyway, that was a side detour. I told you that would probably happen.
No, that's
Yeah.
fine. No, I get it. It's the setting anything in some place specific or just looking at real world geography is kind of inspiration. It's kind of a fun way to look. One of the novels we wrote last year was actually set around Oak Ridge. And so it's really tempting to go Oak Ridge, Tennessee. It's really tempting to go up by there, 'cause it's kind of
Mm.
closer and just kind of look at the old stomping grounds, see where
Yeah.
some of the action scenes were set. So
Yeah,
it's always interesting to think through that, to think
Mhm.
of what you might find.
sure, sure. Well, okay, we like for creators to inspire our listeners and our audience out there. So, with that in mind, and being a creative couple specifically, what advice might you have for another couple out there who have talked about the idea of a book? One of them says, "Oh, I came up with the idea for a great book," and then the other one says, "Oh, that's really cool. Maybe we should write this." What advice would you give that couple?
Hmm. I would start with just be humble, be a good listener,
Mhm.
be willing to receive from the other person and not just think that your idea is the only idea or the best idea, but to really be able to meet in the middle, just like you do in marriage. And I would say definitely start there. How about you?
It's pretty good. An exercise might be good to write something individually first, and then see it edited and murder those darlings yourself. Kind of
Yeah.
take a look at it. It really helps. I'm eager to see how Karen can improve whatever I've written, because I have written stuff in the past, and there's good parts of it. I definitely like aspects of it, but it's always improved when somebody else edits. But you need to know kind of if you're the right kind of if they're the kind of person who can take editorial feedback.
hmm And to know your strengths and weaknesses. Like what areas do I need help with? What areas does he need help with? It depends because like a lot of times action scenes are going to be more his direction. I can write them and I've been practicing writing them more, but I like having Ben's opinion and oversight on that. So I would say that would be one of your strengths, and then historical background would be your strength. Ben's a big history nerd, like knows everything about history. And so, anytime we have a question about that historical accuracy, he's doing that. I work more on the characterization
Mhm.
and the interactions between those characters, and so yeah, that would definitely be what I said.
Yeah, Karen has the self-awareness to say insert action scene here.
Yeah.
For me, I'll often write a character scene, and she's like, by the way, I'm going to be rewriting this entirely." Which is fine. Again, I like that, but you have to be willing to take that kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
But I think you will find, if you are interested in that kind of thing, and if you approach it with the right attitude, then I think you might find it actually growing. I encourage any couple to, if they can, find something to create together, but also have some stuff apart. We both love playing RPGs. I write adventures, but Karen doesn't have much interest in running the game or writing adventures. Karen is a fantastic musician. She writes. She's a singer songwriter and writes music. I would not even want to begin to try that.
Well, Janet, based on their feedback, I think you need to start when you're working out these questions for us to ask people on interviews. You need to put insert spaceman makes bad joke here, just so I'll be prepared.
Do I really need to write that in there?
Okay,
I
well,
kind
you
of think
don't.
that's
You
a
don't.
given.
It just happens, right? It
It
happens
just
organically.
it's organic. It just happens. I don't think we need to note it.
Yeah. People maybe wish you would note it, so I would know not to do it. All right. Now, the part of the podcast that all our listeners have been waiting for. Where can they find out more about BK Gibson and BK Gibson's works?
Well, bkgibson.com is our website. That's our author website where you'll find all of our books. There's also a blog where I review RPG adventures, and I review novels and other works of fiction.
There's
and
a novella freebie.
Yes, there's a novella freebie we give
Yeah,
away through our
giveaway.
website. So if anybody wants to see that, we can do it. Our Amazon page, you'll have the link, but it's just BK Gibson. It's pretty simple there. The first novel is out, Freedom's Vow. It's found through there. We're fairly active on X at BK Gibson Writes, all one word. So we'll have that. We also have a Facebook. Do you remember the contact name? It is BK Gibson.
BK
I forget
Gibson.
if there is a. I believe it is b.k.gibson because there's a lot more names on Facebook.
Yeah.
You know what that is.
Oh, I just realized the B and the K is Ben and Karen.
Yes.
Not my brightest moment. Okay, long drive from South Carolina last night. We'll
Yes,
just not
South
say.
Carolina is too far away to be doing this the next day.
Yeah. So and we're an open pen name. We always knew we were going to just write together, and we were going to have a single name, but it's an open pen name. We're not hiding identity or anything. We're not James. We're not or the Expanse writers. They do great work, but there's two of them, and a lot of people were surprised that there was two of them because it was a single name. But no, we're openly Ben and Karen Gibson.
Yeah. Well, I have one last quick question before we close out. When did you guys actually decide to start collaborating? Was it pretty much right after you guys got together, or how long did it take you to realize that you had that, that ability to do that?
Yeah, I say it started when I was writing a book. My oldest was a year old, and I was trying to get through the first draft of a book that will never see the light of day. It's no. And you started reading it and giving me encouragement and feedback. And then from there, it just kind of grew. I'd say the next novel that we went through, you took a much stronger role in developmental editing, from what I remember. And it just kind of kept growing, and we are where we are today.
Yeah, it's just sort of slowly evolved over that.
Yeah.
Over time. We just I started dev editing. I wrote a lot beforehand, but I always wrote shorter fiction before that because that's kind of where I like the scene construction. So that's kind of where I was. But we just started back and forth, and it's just So she wanted to start writing it, and then I realized, hey, this is really fun as an editor.
Mm-hmm.
And then later we realized, hey, wait, we can just write stuff.
Yeah.
We can. Nobody. It's a free country. Nobody's stopping us. We could just write together.
Well, that's great. That's great. I'm always happy when couples decide to do things together, and share that common goal, that common interest. Is wonderful. So, um, but we are about out of time, so I do want to thank you both. We want to thank you both
Yes, we
for
do.
taking
We
the
do.
time to join us and talk about your life and your journey together as a
Chatting with the
creative
old
couple.
folks.
Mm-hmm.
Who you calling old? Anyway, but again, we want to thank you for taking the time. It has been a real pleasure getting to meet both of y'all and hear your story.
Well, thank you
Thank-
so much for having us.
Yeah, thank you so much. Appreciate it, guys.
And we also want to thank our audience for joining us today. And we hope that you've been entertained and inspired by today's guest, Ben and Karen Gibson. And this is the Spaceman for the Halfling and the Spaceman podcast. Over and out.